Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Talk to Chris Blair in 15 minutes. Luke Johnson on the Saints coming up at the bottom of the hour. Y'all know I scroll through the old social media apps in the breaks there, and I still am a little disappointed that Mississippi State got a left-handed pitcher that throws 102 miles an hour through the draft and is on campus right now. We're not going to spend any more time talking about that today, like zero. But you'll remember his name in the spring when we get to it because his name's Jack Bauer, which is, obviously.
Sounds like he can throw real hard with that type of name.
He throws 102.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just mad about it. I don't want Mississippi State to have a left-handed pitcher that throws 102 miles an hour, but they do. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm going to try to go to Starkville for that series, by the way, coming up in the spring. We'll see if that works out. But Jack Bauer will be there if I go, and he'll probably throw 102 miles an hour, which is not what I'm looking for. All right, let's talk some football. LSU and Alabama Saturday night in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Interesting matchup in this one, to me, is one that I find to be strength on strength. We talked about this LSU and Texas A&M 2 weeks ago. We're going to talk about it again here in LSU and Alabama. It's the Alabama passing game against this LSU passing defense. And Alabama's second in the SEC in passing. They're behind Tennessee only in that statistic. Ty Simpson's touchdown-to-interception ratio is 20-1 on the season. He's the best in the country in that metric. And you look at their season thus far, and they've been very consistent throwing the ball, save maybe the Missouri game. They weren't at their best in that game, only threw it for 200 yards in that game, but did throw it for 3 touchdowns. They threw for 382 and 4 scores against Wisconsin, threw for 280 and 2 touchdowns against Georgia, really threw the ball well against Vanderbilt, 340 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then identical numbers against Tennessee and South Carolina in both games. Tennessee and South Carolina threw for 253 and 2 touchdowns. LSU, I've lost confidence in this defense. And when I say that, I don't mean I think they're bad. When I say that, I don't think they're what I thought they were a month ago. I thought this defense a month ago was as good as any defense in college football. I now don't think that's remotely true. They have gotten really, really gashed by Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, and Texas A&M. And that's just a reality. And Alabama doesn't bring the balance that some of those teams do because they don't run it all that well. They ran for 72 yards against South Carolina. They ran for 72 against Wisconsin. They ran for 87 against Florida State. They ran for 120 yards and no touchdowns against Missouri. Like, we talked to Joe Gaither in the first hour. Like, they have not done a good job of running the ball. Jam Miller has been in and out. He said their offensive line's not as athletic as you would think. Like, they're resorting in the red zone to snapping the ball to Caden Proctor and running straight ahead with a 360-pound behemoth. It's not an efficient run game, but they're good throwing it. And I do believe, though I've lost confidence in LSU's defense, that LSU's defense is still good in coverage. Mansour Delane is going to be a first-round pick at this rate. I believe he's got a chance to be an All-American. I think he has a chance to win the Jim Thorpe Award. I wouldn't bet on him, and I don't have a betting favorite there, but I think he's got a chance. He's commanded that kind of respect. But we talked about this entering the A&M game because they had Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver on the outside. And I'm like, okay, is this the team that's going to try to challenge Delane? Because we looked at the numbers. Ole Miss didn't challenge him. They went straight at Pickett at Woodland the entire day. South Carolina didn't challenge him. Like, teams had decided we're not going that direction. The numbers went from, like, Clemson threw at him a good bit, and you saw that against Florida too, and, like, there were some tests, and then all of a sudden it just went away. And everybody started going, we're going at Woodland, we're going at Pickett. Like, that was when Ashton Stance was playing some. We're going there. We're going at the safeties. We're going at Cooley. We're not going at 4. And I was like, okay, but none of those teams had Concepcion and Craver, who are the best tandem probably in the Southeastern Conference. What are they going to do? And we saw, let me just say it. They threw at him twice. They caught both of them, which is probably about down the middle. Like, they didn't completely avoid him. They went at him a couple times, had a little success. Now, to Delane's credit, he did force an interception. Now, it wasn't a target because he was blitzing, jumped up, knocked the ball in the air, and Harold Perkins intercepted it. But they didn't go at him a lot. What about Alabama? I don't think they're going to shy away from trying to get Ryan Williams involved. I don't think they're going to shy away from trying to get Jeremy Bernard involved. Williams is more, he's more on the name recognition and the highlight side of things. He came out last year like a house on fire. Had 170-plus yards against Georgia, the circus touchdown to put Alabama ahead late, where he made 2 guys miss in the secondary down the sideline. That's what everybody's saying. He's 17 years old, Ryan Williams. And you heard that. And he had 6 touchdowns in his first 5 college games at 17. But after that, he only had 2 touchdowns the rest of the way, and he's only got 3 this year. So he's not Julio Jones. He's not having the impact that Jeremiah Smith has at Ohio State, but he's every bit as capable. He's explosive. He's dynamic. I think Alabama's going to get him involved. Are they going to go at Delane for that? Now, Jeremy Bernard, he came to Alabama with Kalen DeBoer. He was at Washington, was behind Jalen Polk and Rome Odunze, and was a lesser-used guy on that team. Now comes to Tuscaloosa. He's in his second year. He's a senior, and he's their leading receiver in terms of catches, yards, and touchdowns. Both guys are 6'1". Neither is too physically imposing. But P.J. Woodland, to this point, has had a really good year. Like, even if you look at the Pro Football Focus grades, Woodland's coverage grade is a 72.3. He had a couple pass breakups in the game against Texas A&M. Like, he's played well. DJ Pickett is come along. A.J. Halsey's done a really good job. This is good on good. And if Alabama's not going to run it great, which, LSU hasn't stopped the run, but a lot of that is the quarterback causing issues for LSU. Pavia certainly did. Reed certainly did. Simpson's athletic, but he's not going to do that. Do they have to lean on going at LSU's strength on defense? And can LSU hold up against that? That's a big, big key in this game. And if LSU can force some incompletions, I'm not even asking for 2 interceptions in the game. You got 5 against Florida. You got 2 against Texas A&M. You can get 2, great. But Ty Simpson's not throwing those. He's only thrown 1 all year. But if you can force some incompletions, force him to be a little bit hesitant, force him to maybe throw it away a couple times, get them behind the chains, maybe you can get some stops. I would suggest that, Georgia's got talent on the corners. I don't even have to go look it up. I know it. Georgia's got talent on the corners. But I think LSU is probably more talented on the corners than everyone else that Alabama has played. Wisconsin, Vanderbilt, Missouri. Like, Tennessee was great at corner last year, and they've got one of the best corners in the country this year, but I don't think they're better than LSU in that perspective. And so I think LSU's got a chance to hold up there. I told you at the top of the show today, I don't see a lot of matchups that favor LSU here. But you're trying to keep things close and then make a play late to win. What'd you do 3 years ago in Tiger Stadium? You kept it close. They had the Heisman winner. They were probably the better team. Bryce Young, that whole crew. But you kept it close, and Jaden Daniels made some plays. You don't have Jaden Daniels this time around. But this is a spot where I think LSU can hold up, and it's Alabama's strength, and they lean on it. And all of a sudden, if Bama doesn't run it, like they've had struggles against Florida State, struggle against Missouri sometimes, and you hold them to 110 yards, 95 yards rushing, and then they've got to go play your strength, I can sell you that bill of goods. Make a play or 2 on Simpson. Maybe you cover long enough for somebody to get back there and get a sack. Now I know I'm begging because I hadn't done a lot of that this year. But maybe. there are spots where I don't feel good at all about LSU. Like LSU offensive tackle against Bama's front, I don't feel good about it. LSU's wide receivers right now against Bama on the edge, I don't feel awesome about it. LSU's run game is what it is. I'm hopeful they can run it a little bit better against a poor Bama run defense, but am I going to hang my hat on that? I don't think LSU rushes the passer great. Like, there are places that I'm concerned about LSU, and you would suggest entering this game, oh my gosh, Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Ty Simpson. I think LSU can hold their own out there. Maybe I'm proven wrong. Certainly I'll come here and tell you. I gave you a whole diatribe in the first hour about how when you're wrong, say you're wrong. It's okay. I'll do it on Monday, I promise. But I think this is a spot where LSU can hold their own, and I'm hopeful there. We'll see. I think I wrote a matchups to watch piece on LouisianaSports.net. You can get on the front page there, and this is number one on that. It's Simpson, Bernard, and Williams against Delane, Woodland, and Halsey. And I think the winner of that matchup could go a long way in determining the winner of the game. We'll see. That's a look at LSU and Alabama here to kick off hour number one. We'll continue that discussion plus a little bit of hoops. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Some of the best beef in the country just outside Baton Rouge, up there in Ethel. Bring our Thursday shows each and every week. We're going to talk Luke Johnson about the Saints coming up in 15 minutes. Rico Dowdle did practice today, so Saints are going to have to deal with him. He's been running the ball all over everybody. How do they stop it? We'll chat with Luke about that coming up in our next segment. Right now, go to the phone lines, jimsfirearm.net. Phone lines to be exact. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, good enough to give us some time here on this Thursday. Chris, how are you?
I'm great, Hunt. Excited to get back to be talking football this week. That's kind of been a little bit different from a week ago. So it's been nice to kind of focus on these two teams we're going to see on Saturday.
No doubt. I know that you've got headphones on, so maybe not the best perspective, but certainly a good one. How do you feel about the environment in Bryant-Denny? I feel like the kind of consensus is that it's not among the top of the SEC. I've been in there when it's been really loud.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before, and I know this doesn't make people happy. I think the game day experience at Alabama is top notch. And again, from the fan perspective, if you go, and I've been told that from numerous LSU fans. But intimidating, hard to operate. There are a list of stadiums that I've been to personally, and that many of our fans, LSU fans, have been to. And yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, I think again, it can get difficult, but I don't really think of that as the stadium that is going to intimidate and disrupt a team. In the same way that we obviously see Tiger Stadium do that when it's fully, when it's in its peak mode. And there are several others around the country. I mean, obviously their winning percentage speaks for itself in their home field. But, yeah, no, I wouldn't say it's the most intimidating place to go.
We'll see. It sounds like, based on literally everything we're hearing, that LSU is going to make every effort to run the football in this game on Saturday. Bama struggled to stop it against a lot of teams. How do you feel about LSU's chances to get some ground game going?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking to see something different. I think, there were times where we have not fully committed to running, but there have been times this year where we've really struggled to have any consistency. You get a big play here, and then suddenly you got 2 or 3 run plays where you dropped a yard or 2 or 5 behind the line of scrimmage. I just think, having known Alex Atkins, having worked with him before, he's, you go back to my 2 years a part of my 10 years at Georgia Southern. There were 2 years there where Alex Atkins and Willie Fritz were leading the country in yards per game. And it wasn't a lot of zone read. It wasn't a lot of RPOs. It was line up, blocking schemes and power running out of multiple different formations. So I'll be interested to see how they go about it. Obviously, Coach Wilson said it. I certainly believe, knowing the personnel that now will be in charge of calling plays, that, yeah, they're going to probably go to the run. I want to see how they try to go to the run. Because, again, I just don't think without a true threat to run the ball at quarterback, I don't know how effective, once the defense has seen a couple of RPOs, a couple of zone reads, they pretty much know just go get the ball carrier. So I think that's, to me, if you're going to run the football, I certainly hope it's successful. As you pointed out, Alabama has not been the brick wall they have been in years past. But how are you going to go about running the ball? To me, that's going to be the best thing to look at.
How much of the passing game struggles would you attribute to the fact that they just haven't gotten any running game going?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some of that. I go back and watch the game films. I'm sure a lot of people do. I've been surprised a couple of times. I'm not in those meetings, so I'm not sure. But there are times when there are routes that are being run where you almost have two LSU receivers, possible receivers, bringing two or three defenders to the same spot the ball is thrown. And, we've seen that a number of times this year. So, obviously I think if you can't run the football, and that's what Alabama's going to try to do, that's what everybody's tried to do, is put all the onus on Garrett Nussmeier's arm to make decision after decision after decision and put the ball up. So, I think there's part of it, but I think some of that falls on LSU just not executing as well.
Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, is our guest. Blake Baker's defense struggled a little bit with the multi-threat quarterbacks. Ty Simpson doesn't offer quite as much of that, but he's been excellent throwing the ball. How do you see that matchup on Saturday?
Man, I think, much like what I want to mention with the offense, I think it'll be interesting, again, if Weeks is able to go, not able to go. I'm almost leaning towards the fact that beyond the tackles and the plays that he has the ability to make, I just think him getting everybody in the right spot is the most important loss when he's not out there. And, again, I think you can look at this season when he's on the field and when he's not. And, of course, as I said last week and the week before, he's the green dot. And when he's not out there, I've seen a little more questioning, some talking, hand signals, across the defense that we really didn't see a whole lot of earlier in the year. And so to me, the question is LSU confident enough that the secondary, the safeties and the corners can be on an island in an attempt to try to get pressure on Ty Simpson? If they've got to drop 8 and 9 in coverage, okay, well, that's good. But I think, Jam Miller and those guys might find some success they haven't found this year running the football. And this is a team in SEC play that while they lead the conference in time of possession, they're only averaging 119 yards on the ground. So they do it with a passing attack. But can LSU literally put their guys on an island and say, you got to lock down on a very good wide receiver core and see if we can't come up with some stunts to get, Ty Simpson off schedule, get Ty Simpson uncomfortable, move him out of the pocket, maybe get home a couple of times. That to me is the question. How much blitz will we see from LSU, and how much will be 4- and 5-man pressures with a lot of responsibility on the back end of this defense? And when you go back to early part of the season, I think we all kind of agreed after a couple of weeks that, yeah, it looks like the secondary can operate in that way. Again, how big a piece with Weeks not being there can they operate? We'll find out Saturday.
We certainly will. LSU and Alabama just after 6:30 on Saturday night from Tuscaloosa. You were in the PMAC last night. LSU set a field goal percentage record we found out earlier today. Good offense. What'd you see from courtside?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think you and I have talked about it a bunch. I think you got to kind of wait. And this is not an LSU thing, by the way. This is for every team in the country. I mean, go look at Auburn struggling to get by Bethune-Cookman. We saw TCU fall to the UNO Privateers earlier in the week. So, I mean, I just think it's hard to really, claim your stake, put your flag in the ground and say, this is who our team is. And that's not just after one game. I don't know if we'll really know who anybody has until the 1st of January, middle of January, when SEC play starts, because I just think the roster turnover across the league, you just don't know who you are. You don't know who your identity is. But having said that, what I will say is that I like the size of the front line that LSU's been able to get with Mike Nwoko, obviously the return of Jalen Reed. I think Tamba is a good fit, again, to try to give you some defense out on the wing. And I think you got to have a solid SEC caliber point guard. And I've really, having watched DJ Thomas, at some of practice and some of the preseason, the look is there. And it certainly looked that way last night. He's got great command of the floor. He's got great vision. He's got a great handle. And I've asked a number of the coaches, including Coach McMahon, I said, is this a guy who would rather dish the ball than score? And they said, no, I think we'd rather phrase it that when the scoring opportunity is there, he'll take it. If it's not there, he wants to draw the defense and get his other players involved. That's an SEC caliber point guard. So all of those things check the box for me. Max McKinnon, as John Brady said towards the end of the broadcast, Jalen Reese looked good, the true freshman as a point guard, and I think he'll be an option as we move farther. But I like the handle that Max McKinnon, beyond just his shooting. He was also facilitating his teammates as well. I liked what I saw. Long way to go, and the verdict is way far down the line. But I like a team that can shoot. That's been a struggle for LSU, and I thought, as I've told you before, Hunt, you could put 5 guys out on the floor with no defense, and it's not going to be easy to hit 72% or 70% of your shots over a 40-minute span. So I understand Tarleton State is not a world beater, but by the same token, you got to put the ball in the cylinder, and I liked what I saw last night from this team. And I also say I like their want-to defensively.
Yeah, did a good job there. You mentioned Jalen Reese. I don't think that November's a big month for LSU. They're going to beat some teams really badly. He needs minutes because you can't ask Deion Thomas to play 38, 39 minutes every game and think he's next up. So hopefully he can get some seasoning here while the competition allows for that so that he's a little bit more ready to go in December and certainly in January when conference play rolls around. Tonight, Frank Wilson show there from TJ Ribbs. What are you looking forward to hearing from the new interim head coach?
Well, I think we're going to talk solely about football, as I said earlier.
Yep.
That's kind of what I've been waiting to do for 8 to 10 days. Is like we do have a game. There's a very good team waiting on us in Tuscaloosa. Kind of what's the plan? And like we talked about earlier, I just get the sense being here on campus over the last 2 weeks that everything's on the table. There's nothing that I think they have gone and said, okay, we're just going to do what we've done through the first 8 weeks. I think everything will be looked at. So we'll kind of dig into that. I'm not sure how much that coach will reveal of the actual game plan, which I don't want him to, frankly. But I do want to get kind of an insight of what they've worked on. It's similar to what I asked you on Monday at the press conference. Like if it were up to you and you were coming out there to start from scratch and reset the table, like where are the things you would have spent extra time working on? Physicality at the line of scrimmage on both sides, running plays so that everybody knows where the blocking assignments are. What are the extra things they have taken time to work on? And then I want to talk to him about, the future as far as the program. And I mean like the immediate future, like with signing day less than a month away, first period. How are they protecting the team that's already in the purple and gold? And what are their plans to make sure they shore up what is a highly touted recruiting class? So, look forward to hearing what Coach Wilson has to say tonight.
You can hear it tonight, 7 o'clock on the LSU Sports Radio Network, Eagle 98.1 here in Baton Rouge. Frank Wilson Show from TJ Ribbs. Looking to crank up the weekend a little early. Get on over to TJ Ribbs and see the coach and Chris Blair at 7 o'clock tonight on Acadian. Thanks, Chris.
You got it, man. Have fun this weekend. I'll see you or talk to you Saturday.
We will do it. We'll be over at Coshada Casino Resort, Marlon Favorite and myself pre and post game. So looking forward to getting over there and checking that out for LSU in Alabama. Hopefully win a few bucks on the tables if we can. We will see. We appreciate Chris for giving us a little time here on this Thursday. Shift gears over to the Saints. Luke Johnson will be with us coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carver and his team, phenomenal folks to work with in the insurance game. And they're phenomenal to work with because they're people, but they're also experts when it comes to the coverage side of insurance. Some brokers only have access to one program. They only have access to one carrier. That's not the case at the Highland Insurance Group. They're an independent broker, which means they've got contracts with dozens of markets. They can place your commercial insurance program where it needs to be. And they can do it at the right price with the right coverages. That's what they're trying to do with the Highland Insurance Group. You might have a renewal coming up. We know that hurricane season's now in the rearview mirror for us here, and that's awesome. It was quiet around here, and that's a very good thing. But you never know when the next one is going to come. and you want to make sure that your policy is ready to respond. So now that you can take a deep breath, you want to look at that policy, fresh set of eyeballs, get an audit done for free. They can tell you what you need to like about that and what maybe needs to change. Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group are happy to do that for you. So check them out at highlandig.com. You can fill out that Contact Us page. They're service you here or anywhere in the state of Louisiana, based here in Baton Rouge. The Highland Insurance Group, online, highlandig.com.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday shows brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Talked a lot of LSU Bama today. Let's turn our attention to the New Orleans Saints to do that. Bring on our guy, Luke Johnson of NOLA.com and The Advocate, with us on Thursdays on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke, how we doing?
I'm doing okay, my man. I'm doing okay. I might get to cover a win at some point in the next 5 years. I don't know, but I'm sticking with it just in case.
I love your odds in the next 5 years. I think they're great. I think you just keep your head down and you keep sticking to it. I think you got a shot over the course of the next 5 years. How much more difficult did Tyler Shuck's life get, if at all, on Tuesday with the trade deadline?
I mean, it's definitely like they're definitely worse off now than they were, at least in terms of their 2025 outlook. I don't think Shaheed is a perfect player by any stretch, but like he does do some things that very few guys can do. They're going to be they're just plain and simple not going to be as good without him in the lineup. But I mean, I think you had to make a move there. You probably weren't going to bring him back next year. Certainly not at what he's probably going to command on the free agent market. By the time he would be contributing to a potentially contending team, if things went really well, he'd be, in his 30s. And for a guy who is, kind of slightly built receiver whose game is completely built on speed, that's not what you want to do. So, I don't know exactly how they're going to fill his role. I don't think they can just one for one fill it. The deep stuff is probably going to go to Cooks or maybe Mason Tipton, and maybe we'll see a little bit more of Devon Bailey actually being in this offense. It's been like a question mark all season long, like why they cannot get him involved. It seems like there's plenty of opportunity to use a 6'5", 210-pound receiver when you got just a bunch of guys who are 6 feet, 190 pounds. But I will have to see it before I believe that is going to be a thing. We'll see. I mean, they're not going to be as good. That's just plain and simple. But fact of the matter is, they already weren't very good without him or with them. So, you might as well take your draft picks and move on and see where you go from there.
I would agree with that, and we'll see. They go next to Carolina to play the Panthers. Rico Dowdle's had just an awesome year thus far running the football, and the Saints have not stopped the run. It was brutal to watch up in Chicago a few weeks ago. How do they deal with that?
Yeah, I mean that's going to be where their competitiveness starts and stops in this game. I mean, at times we've seen them actually look pretty decent against the run, but it's like a week to week thing where you just don't know what you're going to get. Last week was another not very good game for them. The week before against Tampa wanted to run the ball. They tried. They didn't really have a lot of success, and you start to think maybe they're okay, and then they give up 175 rushing yards to the Rams last week, and you think maybe they're not. So, I mean, that's going to be the key part of this week's game. I mean, Dowdle, I think, as they've gone 4-1 in their last 5 games, has something like 650 rushing yards.
Yeah.
And the one time they basically made Chuba Hubbard the lead back again. They got blown out by the Bills, and they're like, okay, well, let's make Dowdle the lead guy again, and then they go out and beat the Green Bay Packers. So, I mean, he's really good in this lineup, and if you look at how this Panthers offense is built, I mean, they've got just a bunch of maulers on that offensive front who are not great in pass protection, but they're really, really good run blockers. And that's where they're going to make their money. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like this week. I don't have a lot of faith But like, every now and then they can kind of come out and surprise you with a good game plan against a run. So that's going to be where this one comes down to, I think.
You're not really in a spot with the way this team has played to point out individual guys, but you're trying to find building blocks for some sort of future here. And you would imagine, because of where he was selected and where he is in his career, that Brian Brzee would be one of those. You're talking about stopping the run here. What do you make of where Brzee is now in year 3?
Yeah, I think he's gotten better against the run this year. He was really, really bad in his first 2 years. Where he was playing more with 3 technique his first 2 years, and in this scheme, he's more of like the 3-4 defensive end. He's been better where he's not going up against kind of your interior offensive lineman every single play. But I still think, as a player, he's really best suited to be like a rotational, like passing downs player. He's I think a very good interior pass rusher. And the sack numbers haven't really been there this year, but I think he's still impacting the game as a rusher. But still, yeah, that's kind of what he is. He's kind of a one-trick pony, which is okay. I mean, like, it's hard to find interior players who are good pass rushers. So I don't even count that as a miss. But like, I think it'd be expecting too much for him ever to be like a true 3-down impact player. I think his role is going to be pretty clearly defined moving forward as like a situational pass rusher.
Same thing about kind of Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid. Now that you've got a bigger sample size of them this year, and they'll be facing a Panthers offense that doesn't throw it great. They've got some resources on the outside that they've spent with draft picks and free agency, but Bryce Young's numbers aren't very good. So how do you feel about the Saints outside in this game?
I feel okay. I think when we've seen them struggle the most, it's been against like the superstar receivers. And I think Tataroa McMillan is a really nice rookie for Carolina, but they don't have a lot of guys who really strike a lot of fear into you. So, I think they match up okay. I think Kool-Aid is somebody who I'm still kind of bullish on in his future. He's had some moments where he's really struggled this year, but he's also had some moments where he's looked really good. And for a guy who's still very young, I think he's only 22 years old, 22 or just turned 23. There's enough promise there to feel good about him. I don't feel as good about Alontae Taylor. It has never really clicked for him as a coverage player, and really the times when he's really impacting the game is when he's making plays behind the line of scrimmage, which is great. But like the thing that if he's going to be making a second contract with the Saints, it's going to be for his coverage ability, and that's just been way, way, way too inconsistent. It wouldn't surprise me if he's somebody that they're okay letting walk in the off season and trying to get a compensatory pick back for him, because it just, to me, like, he's got to make his money as a coverage player, and it just hasn't really panned out that way, whether he's been outside or inside.
The answers to these questions raise more questions about getting all these draft picks back, considering the people that are going to be making them, and the fact that we go, well, they spent an early pick on that guy, maybe, and they spent an early pick on that guy, well, maybe. Like, is that kind of where we are at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, right? When you look at why this team is 1-8, I mean, it's because all of their good players aged out.
Yep.
And they don't have enough young players filling those gaps. And, I think this new regime came in and it looks like they hit on some nice young players. I think Quincy Riley's played well this year. I still like Jonas Sanker, even though, he's had his ups and downs as a third-round draft pick, third-round rookie coming in. I like what we've seen in flashes out of Danny Stutzman. I like Kelvin Banks. We'll see what happens with Tyler Shuck. But this has a chance to be like a decent foundational class for them, which is more than you could say for like the last 5 years, right? They've had a lot of misses in the draft. I mean, we just saw them trade Trevor Penning for like a bag of Doritos this week, and he was a first-round draft pick. So, like, it is, if they're ever going to dig themselves out of this hole they're in, like, it's got to start there. They'll have cap space in 2027, but like, cap space is not. That's how you add to a contender. It's not how you build one up. You got to hit on the draft classes, and so far, I mean, the results have not been good for this team. They just have way too many underperforming young players, or young players who just did not live up to their draft stock. So I mean, they got to turn that around if they're going to have any hope of getting this thing pointed back in the right direction.
I'll admit, before I even ask the question, that I think I'm reaching here. We'll see what you think. But the sport does start with your division. It doesn't end there, but it starts there. And as we're looking at the Saints, we've always gone, and then you got Carolina, who stinks. Like, is there anything you can draw from this football game on Sunday as to where you stand with a team that's kind of been the punchline of the division for 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, look, Carolina, they're 5-4 right now. They knocked off a good Packers team. They blew the Falcons out of the water. They have done some nice things there to where you could say, okay, this is an ascending team under Dave Canales, right? So if you go in there and you get a win, and you look at the back half of the schedule, like they've got a lot of bad teams in the back half of their schedule. Like, you could see an avenue for this, like, being okay. Like, maybe this is kind of the jump start for the Kellen Moore era, where they start building some good vibes going into next year. So yeah, like, absolutely, like this can be a little bit more of a clear referendum on the Saints, but like, it's got to start at some point, right? And this would be a good time to do it. Like, Carolina, while they're a winning team, they're just outside the playoff picture. They've had some real stinkers this year. I mean, I just referenced the Buffalo game. They got beat like 40-9 in that game. So like, if you can go in there and get a win, like, you could start building some positive momentum for a team that really, frankly, has not had much of it at all. I was looking back at it today. Since December of last year, right, December 1st, they have 2 wins. They're both against the Giants. Like, get something against a division opponent. Start building some positive momentum, some goodwill. Like Kellen Moore desperately needs that right now. 1-8. Like, I still think he's like got potential to be a really good head coach, but like, you need to start showing it at some point, right? And the fans are really starting to kind of turn on him and everything here. Like, something this weekend, just like some positive vibes going into that bye week with a lot of quote unquote winnable games on the schedule in the second half of the season. You can start something here.
Enjoy Charlotte, my friend. We'll talk next week.
Sounds good, buddy. See ya.
You can follow him on Twitter at @ByLukeJohnson with NOLA.com and The Advocate. He's with us every Thursday covering the New Orleans Saints. His stuff's awesome. We appreciate some time on these Thursdays. Those Thursday shows are brought to you by Sagrera Farms. Come back, close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. Luxury brand, reasonable price. When I say luxury, like, there are probably some brands that come to your mind. Genesis should be one. And don't think, when you think that, oh, I can't afford that, go by and see them. Airline at Piku. Their sales staff is going to help you. They're not going to treat you like a customer. They're not going to be pushy. They're not going to upsell you and be distant. They're going to help you. And they've got an incredible line of vehicles to display. All of them. IHS top safety picks. So they're some of the safest cars on the road. Stylish, elegant, luxury. They're Genesis of Baton Rouge. You'll sense that from the people. You'll sense that from the facility in the showroom. And certainly when you get behind the wheel, you will sense it as well. Every new purchase, 3 years, complimentary valet maintenance. How nice is that? Just a nice little perk there when you drive a Genesis. They're on Airline at PQ. Find them online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef, bringing our Thursday shows. Some of the best beef in the country, and it's just outside of Baton Rouge. Every single cow there at Sagrera Farms is part of a 3-year journey. It's genetically engineered, produced some of the finest beef in the country, raised on grass, finished on grain, 45 days, dry aged. It's a phenomenal product. And if you want some Sagrera Farms beef, you can find it 2 places, Sagrera Farms or Supper Club. That's it. So this holiday season, if you're looking for a gift or looking to treat yourself, go and buy Sagrera Farms, get a whole cow, get a side, get a quarter, load that freezer up with some of the delicious, most flavorful, tender, well-marbled beef in the country. It's Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Call Sean, 719-1723. That's 719-1723. Sagrera Farms, bringing our Thursday shows each and every week. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave believe it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Pairs quite nicely with Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. A Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. You can find it in the slim cans wherever you find your beers to bring to the house, to the grill, to the tailgate, to the watch party on Saturday. Pick up a 12-pack. I sent you there. It's Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
All right, Hunt, let's start this off with the New York Post. John Heyman says the Cubs are the best fit for Alex Bregman this winter. Breggy bombs at Wrigley. Take it or leave it.
Take it.
I'll take it.
I knew Bregman was not going to sign a one-year deal with the Cubs because Wrigley's really hard to hit in,
Yeah.
and he was trying to get a big deal. Well, now he went to Boston, put up monster numbers. He's going to get a multi-year deal. Cubs have a rookie at third who's okay. Didn't have a great postseason. Bregman would add some solidity, and look, I'm all for it. I want an LSU Tiger there with the Cubs, and Bregman certainly that. So I would take that. He'd be a good player.
All right, Live Golf made the announcement this week that they are extending tournaments from 54 to 72 holes. See you at Live New Orleans. Take it or leave it.
Leave it.
Oh, leave it.
Leave it alone.
Not even close.
You're not a Live guy?
Oh, you'll learn.
Okay.
I despise Live Golf.
Oh,
the
wow.
worst.
You feel like they ruined the game?
Yeah, they split it in half.
They split it in half.
Split it in half. Awful. I got friends that are going to go to Live New Orleans. It's an embarrassment. It's offensive to me that you would even go out there. And of course, Live is doing now. Live LIV is the Roman numeral for 54. They were cheeky with that, so we'll see if they change it to LXXV whatever golf. I don't think that's going to happen.
Can't sell
the
shirts
whole
like
thing's
that.
a complete and utter joke. Everyone involved with it is a rich joke, and no, I will not be at Live New Orleans, and I will not pay attention. And hopefully, they can't sign anybody else, and the whole tour goes away. But I don't have high hopes for that because they have endless money.
Yeah,
so
money
hopefully,
talks.
that happens.
All right, the 2-7 Miami Dolphins are finally taking their season serious by removing the Papa Shot and various other locker room games out the locker room.
God.
Playoff push for the Fins. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. I'm sure
Leave it
they're
alone.
2-7 because they have a Papa Shot in the locker room. I'm sure that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not that their personnel is not good enough, or the play calling is not good enough, or the execution is not good enough. It's because they're getting buckets on a Wednesday afternoon at 4:30. That's why they're 2-7. Give me a break. These are professional athletes.
Yeah.
They're not good. Not because of the Papa Shot.
It's just too late, man. You're already 2-7.
You're treating them like high schoolers. Give me a break.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's something the coach would do when you come from a
Yep.
bad loss. Go ahead, take stuff away. So last night, Russell Westbrook made history with his 16 rebound triple-double. He earned him the NBA's all-time leader in career rebounds by a guard with
Wow.
8,734. Westbrook also holds the NBA record for the most career triple-doubles with 204. Is Westbrook the greatest rebounding point guard we've ever seen? Take it or leave it.
And I guess you got to take it, right?
I'll take
I mean,
it.
like, Magic went down and played the 5
Yeah.
in the finals one time, which
Did.
just tells you you're pretty good. But, I mean, he's got the numbers. He's got the longevity. Like, you always – I shouldn't say this. You generally remember greatness when you see it, and I was fortunate just to one – I haven't been to many Pels games just in my time down in South Louisiana. But I did go to a Thunder game when Russ played, and unfortunately, the Pels lost. But I did watch Russ go for like 54, and that was when he was in his prime. He was in
Prime
Oklahoma
Russ.
City. He was blowing by everybody. He pulled up at the elbow and knocked down a jump shot 13 times. It looked easy. It looked like it was in a pickup game, and they just appreciate greatness time and time. So at this point, I don't care if the Pels lost that game. It's more that I got to see Russell do his thing that day, and he's one of the better point guards in the history of the game. I think that's true.
I don't know. You can't deny it. 8,734 rebounds is insane by a guard, and that's it for Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it. Presented by Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer. Fun show today. A lot of LSU Bama talk. You can find that at Hunt on LSU. Talk some Saints Panthers with Luke Johnson. Chris Blair was along with us earlier. Joe Gaither covers Alabama for Bama Central. So all that on demand wherever you find your sound. You can go check that out. Search Hunt Palmer Show wherever you get your podcasts. That's it for us. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further. You're back tomorrow for a Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.